Welcome back to the Angels here on OOTP 25. We are getting ready to gear up for what is going to be the final offseason at the helm of the Los Angeles Angels. We're gearing up for the 2039 season after a very, very disappointing 2038 year where just the wheels fell off, a ton of injuries. Chris Aquino got hurt. We all know what happened. We need to rectify that and hopefully keep Aquino healthy for a whole season, if not even just a little bit more than sub 100 games, and get to the goddamn playoffs because we need to make a run. That's what we're trying to do here. And as you can see, we have $24 million to spend right now, but that is before we do anything along the lines of trades or options, which the biggest one is going to be Justin Lampkin. He's actually the only option we have a decision to make. We have to make a decision on. Justin Lampkin coming off the worst season of his career. Apparently, our scout retired. That must be one of what these are. Our scout has retired, and so is our assistant general manager. So that's we need to replace those guys. But just to start off here, Justin Lampkin. This is about what our scout thought of him too. A 50 grade potential, a 50 grade starter now. He's going to be 35 for next season. Coming off the worst year of his career, he's really never been a bad starter his entire career. He's just been incredible for us, for St. Louis, and he's in the decline. He's 35. I don't think he's the guy anymore, and I think that opening up that like what is it going to be, like 20 something million off the payroll this year for us, 25.5 million. I don't think we want to pay him that. We're going to use this buyout for 2.6. So we are going to void Justin Lampkin's last contract. Maybe we bring him back for a cheaper price if that's possible, but we're going to be trying to just really take a swing here for our last season, as well as we possibly can with the current with the money situation, with the current roster, and then depending on who's out there in free agency, because you really can't build through free agency in this game at this point. I don't think it's a very viable strategy even early in the game, but also like early when you first start. But I also don't think I think it's even less viable now because you get to these, like I've talked about a billion times, you get to these free agency classes and 95% of the guys are wrecked. And it's just, okay, well, anybody worth any value whatsoever is wrecked. So it's just, it's not ideal. And basically anybody who's not wrecked is usually somebody who's like a 50 overall. And it's like at that point, I can just easily just keep playing somebody like it's not going to be an upgrade to just have Piscotty, you know? Like, we might as well just have Piscotty play at left field instead of like a 50 guy we can sign to an overpriced deal. With that being said, we are going to try to do what we can to load this team up and do one last run for the playoffs without totally sacrificing the future, because like I've said all along, we're not trying to build as if I know I'm going to be gone and just be like, well, fuck it, we can just trade the whole farm for some guy with some ridiculous trade because we're not going to be here next season. I'm not trying to do that. That just seems cheap to me. So, obviously we do want to make a swing. We want to take a swing here, but we don't want to do it in a way where it's just like, well, let's trade away who's probably going to be the starting left fielder for the next 5 years because it doesn't matter to us. I'm not going to do anything like that. And then there you go. We declined his option. Already it's up to 47, little over 47.5 million for total money available, and that's before we sort through any of the salary arbitration, which there's probably some guys in here that we're probably not going to be bringing back. Like, I don't think Jorge Sosa, who is entirely a bullpen piece at this point, and even then, not a great one. You look at the stats he's put up for us here in the major leagues, really has not been capable whatsoever. He's just been a kind of a guy treading water. Just another guy in the bullpen, really. Nothing that's worth $4 million, so I don't think that Jorge Sosa is going to be back for us this season. Frank Anaya as a $3 million backup catcher, as a guy who has good fielding but does not hit whatsoever, and we have plenty of guys who have decent fielding as a backup catcher. Definitely not paying him $3 million. Steve Hagge will be getting $4 million at least. Maybe extended, maybe just the ARB, because he is our starting catcher. I think he is a solid catcher. You know, he should not be our like third best hitter. That's probably where we went. A big reason why we were not great this year, but definitely a solid player to have in your starting lineup. Aiden Huzzy is an interesting one because it's like, you know, getting rid of Huzzy probably does make us a little bit worse, but at the same time, Aiden Huzzy has never really shown that he's like a dude. You know, he's been like a bench piece who plays a decent amount. He's been a starter for us, and he's never really been like that good of a player. He's had a couple 2-WAR seasons, but overall is not like a guy who, at least I don't think, is like a totally not replaceable guy. But, you know, if we replace him, if we get rid of him, it's going to have to be for somebody who we think can actually perform for us, and it's not just kind of like get rid of and just get some like relievers that we can have controllable for the next 5 years, because we don't want to get rid of Huzzy and then have no replacement for him in the lineup. And then Fletcher Clancy, definitely not going to be getting this $2.5 million because he is no longer the center fielder he used to be, and he just doesn't hit whatsoever. So Fletcher Clancy, you served us well for a decent amount of time as like a backup sort of center fielder, but no longer going to be part of this organization. And there you have it. Justin Lampkin does only want $12 million. But even that, I don't think, and he wants like multiple years for $12 million. So I'm not trying to do that. And even if it was $12 million for 1 year, which he would definitely not take, I really don't want to do that either, because I just don't want to. I don't want to knock out that much amount of the money, that much of the money. So I think we're definitely going to let him go to free agency. We're obviously not going to QO him for 18.9. We're obviously not QOing Luke Pettit. And then we're obviously not going to bring back Nolan Shawnawell. And then Santiago Ramos was just, you know, I don't think he's worth bringing back. He's never really been like anything too special, and like I think his best years are past him. He's 30 now. He was hurt so much for us when we traded for him. He's like at best an Aiden Huzzy type bat, I feel like, where he's just like he's a solid like 7 hitter, 6 hitter, 7 hitter, but he's not like a guy who I don't think is worth bringing back. So I don't think we're going to offer him like the 18 million multi-year deal that he wants, so I don't think we're interested in doing that. And here we go, right off the bat, obvious scouting replacement here, Ramon Rojas. Outstanding in majors and minors, legendary and outstanding in international and amateurs. Ton of blue, he favors tools. That's an easy one. Ramon Rojas, he's 57, it's whatever. He's going to be our scout. All right, so we've gone ahead and sorted out what I think could be a situation with what the lineups and pitching is going to look like. So right now, we've got Haggy at catching, Aquino, I'm thinking first base, Tiziano at second, Padilla at third, and then shortstop is the question, or one of the questions that we have to kind of solve. Suzuki's left field, obviously, Canolate's in center. Right field, I'm not sure about. And then I'm not really sure about the DH either. We might flip like one of these infielders for Carranza, but I think Carranza should get a shot as like a full-time player. Whether that's a DH or not, who knows? But I think Carranza, we'll have to see what our scout thinks of him, but like our other scout was very high on this guy, even OSA has him as a 55 potential. I think Carranza can be like a legit major league bat. It's just, do we want to have that in our lineup this season? And we've got a couple other young guys who I think are worth in consideration as well for other spots. Like, I think Ken O'Brien's best served as like a super utility backup. I don't think we should be starting him. Just with all these positions that he has, I think his most value is as just a guy who plays literally everywhere. So that is what we're planning on doing with him. Jesus Dorez, however this guy's name is pronounced. OSA is a bit lower than him at shortstop. I think our scout has a 65 shortstop and also has Guadarrama, or had Guadarrama as a 65 shortstop. And you can see here, OSA thinks that he's a 70 shortstop, whereas they think Doors is a 60. This bat intrigues me. This very much reminds me of like shortstop Chris Lesnar. I think that's what this guy's best comp is. Shortstop Chris Lesnar. He's a top 100 prospect. I think he is somebody who definitely we should consider giving plenty of ABs to this season. And if not, you know, he's obviously a guy who could be like a bench player or he's up and down. But I think this guy is definitely in the Angels' future. It's just a matter of, do we think he's going to start this year, or what is his role this season? We'll obviously sort all that out as the offseason goes. I think Mauricio Sandoval is a very intriguing bat. I just can't quit these high contacts because he has the 65 BABIP potential here with this good gap power paired with the 80 speed. I just can't quit these guys. Now, obviously, the defense is an issue, especially since he played 12 games in left field and was almost a negative 3 ZR in only 12 games. That's unplayable. You're a DH. So if that guy's in the lineup, it would probably be something where like he's the DH and maybe Carranza plays second or third, Tiziano, some combination of like Carranza and Tiziano's at second and third, and then, or maybe Aquino goes to some combination of these guys move around. Carranza joins the infield, Sandoval's DH, and then like Padilla would go to right field, probably. Even though like I just don't think he's a good right fielder. Like he's gotten plenty of time in right field. He's always a negative when he goes there. Of course, they're mowing the lawn outside my window right now, so if you hear that, that's what that is. So yeah, you can see here he's gotten plenty of chances in right field. -2 in 37 games. 38 games -3. 73 games -4.5. He's not a good right fielder for whatever reason. You know, his ratings, you look at his ratings and you're like, this guy should be able to at least be serviceable in right field, but he's just not for whatever reason. He could probably play a decent left field, and then also for whatever reason, whenever I try to throw this guy in the dev lab for defense, it's always like, oh, do you want to improve his shortstop? It's like, no, I want to improve his right field. And it just never lets me, even when I have him set to being a right fielder, even when he plays the majority of the previous season as right field, it's dumb. I don't know what it is. Needs to be some more it needs to be easier to be like, hey, this guy's playing right field, let's improve his right field, and it'd be like, I would improve his left field. But no, I'm not trying to do that. So Padilla, we could throw him in right field, but it definitely would cost the defense. We'll have to see. But right now I don't think Sandoval is like in contention for a starting gig, but we'll have to see. But I do think he's definitely somebody we should be keeping an eye on because he is a very valuable bat to have, even if it's just like a bench bat. Maybe we can run him through some dev lab in the offseason in that second set of player development and get his defense up because he does have the adaptability with the work ethic and intelligence. He's got that holy trio. We would like to see that possibly play a role in the dev lab here, because I think this guy's bat is just kind of too good to ignore. Dave Gaddy is an interesting bat, another one of these super high speed, good gap power, contact guys. Lefty bat as well, which we kind of have a lack of, and he can play a much better corner outfield than Sandoval. He actually gives you that option there. He's a high leader. Spent most of the year for us in AAA in Salt Lake. Was pretty decent down there. Came up to the big leagues for a cup of coffee. Was pretty decent up here as well. But you know, no power whatsoever to speak of, but he gives you some really good speed and gap power to hit doubles and singles. Deshaun Tukes, I still think, is a good bat. He's somebody also who could be in running for a position for us this season, and whether it's a starter, whether it's a bench bat, he has all of his options. He has 2 option years. He's now a full member of our organization because he was a Rule 5 pick. We can send him up and down if we need be, and he's flexible. So I do think he's a very valuable bat to keep around as a corner infielder, but if he makes the team or not, we'll have to see. But definitely a valuable bat to have in the organization, even with his personality class being outspoken. We have way more than enough leaders to counteract that. And then as far as guys who are not currently on the 40-man, who I think could play a decent role on this team this season, I should mention that Austin Inglesi no longer on the 40-man. His bat is just never going to develop. He's cooked. As much as I would love this glove to go with like even like a Guadarrama type bat, I would love it. But he just doesn't. He doesn't have it. He can't. None of this ever develops. He never hits anywhere. He's cooked. He's never going to be good. So Inglesi, unfortunately, he's never going to be a major league player. But as far as other guys who could play a role, there's like Alvaro Otero, who's another guy we picked up off waivers. I do think he's probably not going to be added to the 40-man. Maybe he is. We'll have to see once guys enter free agency. We have more spots open. But he has no options. We might try to trade him for some like reliever depth or something because we have a ton of corner outfielders. We don't need 15 quad A corner outfielders. It's just not realistic to have that many. Now, the thing about Otero is that he has that center field backup capability. You know, he's not a guy who can start in center, but if you need a guy to play center field like once a week, once every 2 weeks, he can absolutely spot you some center field. And a lot of our corner outfield backup guys can't really do that. A lot of them are pure corner. You should never in a million years throw this guy in center field. That's a lot of what our corner outfield types are. Otero is more so like a failed center fielder who definitely should be playing a corner outfield. And he has a decent enough bat. It reminds me of Chase Brunson, his bat does, which is a valuable player. He's also a lefty bat, which I've talked about. We have a very limited amount of those, so we'll see. Maybe he ends up making the 40-man, maybe he doesn't, but the fact that he has no options definitely limits his flexibility. And then the other outfielder, who is more of a prospect, is Nario Rennie. However you say this guy's name, Venezuelan left-handed hitter, left-handed thrower, who is an international signing for us. He's another guy who was signed as a center fielder, definitely not a center fielder. We'll just make him a left fielder. What would he be at right field? We'll make him a right fielder because he has the arm. But this guy's bat is very intriguing. I think he could be a very, very solid Major League bat in a corner. Lefty hitter as well. Is he going to be on the team this year? He's definitely going to be on the 40-man because he is eligible for the Rule 5. But, you know, he could be in running for that right field spot for us. Absolutely. We'll have to see, obviously, who's available in free agency. It's just a matter of, do we want to have this one last swing that I keep talking about be with prospects who have not proven themselves, or do we want to take a swing on somebody who is in free agency, which we do not know who's there quite yet? Also, Abraham Campos is somebody who I should probably mention because he is somebody who's going to be on the 40-man as well. Backup shortstop, possibly. I think his bat, as far as what OSA thinks, I don't know what my scout thinks, but as far as OSA with low accuracy thinks, they think his bat could be a bit better than Guadarrama. This is definitely a bit more playable of a bat than Guadarrama. He's not going to be he's not going to be Corey Seager at shortstop, but he could absolutely be a solid offensive bat for a glove-first shortstop at 70 range. Interesting player. Still a bit a ways, but he's going to be in Double-A this season. We'll just go ahead and do that, make sure he's in Double-A. So he'll be in Double-A this season. Hopefully he can show some stuff with the bat. And he's also durable, so he's going to be on the 40-man, somebody to keep an eye on, just as in our organization here. Alright, so we have gone through and added our 8 players for the first round of Player Dev Lab improvements. The first one, pretty obvious here, Chris Aquino. His fragility popped back up here after his back-to-back seasons, or I think last year we had the success in the offseason. Yeah, so last year we had the success for strength and conditioning. He got back to normal, and now he's back down to fragile because he tore his abdominal muscle and also fractured his finger this season. So now it's back down, and we're trying to get it back up because we want Chris Aquino to be healthy because, as I say, he is the face of the franchise. Obviously, we want the guy to be a part of our lineup, huge part of our lineup. Got to keep him healthy. Mauricio Doodles Sandoval here. We're trying to add some power to this guy's profile. He's got the high adaptability, work ethic, and intelligence. I think this guy would be better suited to get this power up instead of the eye because of what he is. He's like a DH type. I want the power there. I don't want him to be like an on-base guy. We already tried this with Canalate. Canalate is kind of like a little bit worse version of this with the bat, but he has the big eye, and then we've seen Canalate, for whatever reason, just can't put that bat together. But we are also adding Canalate here, as you'll see. But Sandoval, we're trying to get this power boost, see if we can get like a Juan Padilla-type huge boost in the offseason here and get this power up maybe even into the 50. That would be fantastic. Make him like a 20 home run guy. That would be incredible. So Sandoval's in there. Then Canalate, as I said, we're trying to improve his plate discipline even more. Maybe even get a potential boost up to 70. Make him a super get-on-base sort of guy. We need that in our lineup. Hopefully Canalate can do that here this offseason. And then we also throw on Jesus Doors for his power. He only has 55 right now with a 70 potential. We want to tap into some of that, so we're throwing him into the dev lab. And then we are having Jorge Carranza with his generate bat speed as well. Self-explanatory. I think his profile is very good. If we can get this power up to be even more, that would be fantastic. And then Nario Rennie, we're trying to get his avoid K. He's had some really weird strikeout numbers for a guy who has 45 avoid K in the minor leagues. We would like to see that drop down a bit, get this up to 50. I think this gap power and power have been improving as he goes on. It's not like he's not hitting doubles and not hitting home runs, so I think that's going to keep improving naturally. But we would like to see this avoid K drop, so we're trying to throw that in there as the dev lab. And then Brendan Nolte, somebody I forgot to mention as like a possible off the 40-man contributor. He, right now, at least according to what OSA thinks, is a 45 potential. This bat could be very intriguing if this power goes up. If this power picks up to being like a 20 home run guy, very intriguing with this glove. I mean, if that happens, he might be our starting shortstop this year. And then for the final spot, a bit of a long shot, but we're trying to get Dan Brannick's stamina up to 35 at least. And then he has the 50 sinker as that third pitch with some really good fastball curveball. Former starter as well as when we took him in the 4th round. Maybe we can get lucky and get him up here because he's been a quality reliever for us. If we can turn him, even if he's not a starter, even if he's not the 5th starter for us, turn him into like a stopper type, that would be very helpful to have in the bullpen. So we're trying to see if we can get Dan Brannick's stamina up here, which is obviously a super hard dev lab thing to do, but we're taking a shot here on that last dev lab slot. There are just some absolutely crazy names that pop up if you look at Frank Anaya prospects all of a sudden. I don't even know how I got to this page because I could have sworn I did prospect package for him and I didn't like anything I saw, and then I went back to the arbitration, went back to this page, and now it's showing me some 65 guys. Like Danny Burton is a 55 according to my scout, but a 60 overall. But my scout hasn't really scouted him because we just hired him, so he hasn't really gone through and gotten players around the league scouted yet. But then Juan Quintanilla from the Yankees. I mean, this guy's insane. Insane bat. And they would be interested in Frank Anaya for this guy? I mean, I guess just because he's a first baseman? Are they like that desperate for... I mean, the guy's fucking nickname is Home Run. So they are actually interested in trading this guy for whatever reason. They're like, yeah, we'll trade this guy for Anaya and any one of these guys. And it's like, I don't want to give them, like, I think Loving's going to be a good reliever for the Angels, so I don't want to get rid of him. This guy is on torn rotator cuff reliever, so obviously he doesn't have any value, really, so I'm not going to give them a guy who's coming off a torn rotator cuff, and he's a reliever as well. I'm not going to trade Ricky Mulligan. He was just our first-round pick last year. We're not trading Pimentel, obviously. I don't think we're going to give up Fritschker, even if he is struggling in rookie ball. His profile is something that I'm definitely interested in. Marrero, reliever, I don't really think he actually has that value. Canalate, I'm not giving up Canalate. We're not giving up Flynn. We're not giving up Doors. But then Tim Haddix, former 8th-round pick of ours, 23, about to be 24. He's going to be in Double-A this season, and he is Rule 5 eligible. I doubt he gets taken in the Rule 5, but I don't know. He's got an interesting enough bat. I guess, I don't know. It just feels weird that if I do Haddix and Anaya, that could get me this guy. Like, do they, like, what? I don't understand why they don't like this guy. Borderline talent for a regular. I don't understand why they think this guy's borderline talent. Am I missing something? Like, even my scout is saying he's a decent hitter. He can provide a borderline talent for a regular role. Am I missing something here? Am I not seeing... I guess he's just taken, like, a huge jump over the last couple seasons, and maybe they think it's not for real? I might just do this. I might just go, hey, add Tim Haddix and say, fuck it. You guys want to give it to me, I'll give it to you. I've cranked up the difficulty on the trades. If they want to do this, I mean, I'll do this. Anaya and Haddix or Juan Quintanilla? Absolutely. I think we're going to pull the trigger here and see what this guy can do for us, because I think he's going to be a legit Legit first baseman. Legit first baseman DH type. Yeah. I think I see what happened now. I think I see what happened. So if you search prospect package for Aiden Huzzy, let's just do this for an example. Let's just go prospect package, Aiden Huzzy, allow AI to include additional players, and they'll give you this list of guys where it's like, hey, if you give us one of your legit players, we'll give you 2 shitty prospects. But sometimes you'll see it like, hey, if you give us Huzzy with a legit guy, we'll give you somebody who's pretty decent. Or here we go, Edgar Vargas is like a super far away from the big leagues guy. And then, if I, let's say, go to this page and then go shop player on him again, now it's suddenly showing different guys. Yeah, it's showing those guys here as available just as prospects here in just the single player trade screen. So I think that's what happened with the Frank Anaya thing. Honestly, Piscotty might be a guy we look to just kind of flip in his deal of his own. Like, what is the value that Piscotty has? Because he has no options. Okay. Way more value in Piscotty than Huzzy. So let's dive into this. Yeah, this guy is by far the best. The Braves are offering the best guys. Like, Arango is a guy we traded to them who's been turned into a legit shortstop for them. Maybe not shortstop. Yeah, maybe more of a second baseman, but a legit player for them. And they are offering him very team-friendly, actually, a long-term 8-year extension, team-friendly deal. We're not interested in picking that up. There's this guy who is interesting, but not... I guess he can play right, but he's more of like a Padilla right fielder, which we already have that. This guy, also, he's very expensive, and he also can't play right field. So I think Espinoza is going to be who we go after. Now, we are going to give them more than just Piscotty for this, because it'd be unrealistic to just give them Piscotty straight up for Espinoza. I also don't think they're going to do it just for him, but, I mean, who knows? This might be even something where we offer him, we sim a day, and then all of a sudden they're not interested in anymore, because that happens all the time. But we are going to do this. All right, almost. And it's a real almost. They're like, hey, we'll give you this fucking insane 4-WAR, 37 home run in his first full season guy. Left-handed hitter, exactly what you need to play right field for you. Now, he does have a bad work ethic, but the guy's got talent. Exactly what we need to our lineup here for Piscotty, who is a good player. He's a bit older. He is a good player. I could absolutely envision a scenario where he goes to the Braves and is like a 4-WAR player for them. 100%. 100% I could see something like that happening. He's also a bit better defensively than Espinoza, has a bit more running. So Piscotty definitely has some traits that the other guy doesn't, where he's mostly all bat. Espinoza does have a big arm, but he doesn't have any of the speed. Yeah. We're gonna do that, but I think we're going to, like, give them something better than, like, a never gonna play 20 potential rookie ball guy. What if I give you Anglesi? What if you take Anglesi? Who knows? Maybe they can make something out of him. I think that's a bit more valuable than getting a 20 grade reliever. Maybe they still want a 20 grade reliever after this, or 20 grade reliever after this. But, yeah, I think we're going to offer that. We'll give you this guy who's got 25 control, Frank Mateos here. Boom. So we're going to give him Piscotty, Anglesi, and Mateos, and they're going to give us Juan Espinoza. And he's going to be a big part of our team here. Lefty hitter, fits into our lineup well. He can hit against both as a lefty as well. That's always good. Yeah, he's going to fill our lineup here, give us another lefty bat in the lineup, and that's going to be a big deal for us. So we have pretty much exhausted all options on Aiden Huzzy here. People just don't want this guy. People see what I see with him, essentially. I don't think he's really valuable. He could give you some decent, like, bench appearances. He should be able to play defense much better than he is, but he just doesn't. Gives you some decent base running, but he's just not worth $6.5 million. So I think we're going to non-tender him because just none of the offers are valuable for him at all. So Aiden Huzzy, we're non-tendering him, and who knows? Maybe we'll bring him back on a very cheap deal because he does have 3 options, but he has 5 years of Major League service, so I think, is it 6 or is it 5 where it locks into being like they can decline options? I don't know, but I don't know. If he's out there for a reasonable price, maybe we consider it, but he's just not valuable in trade value, so we are going to be non-tendering him. And also, it is now time to go over the awards around the league. In the National League, the Miami Marlins, Jaquat Spiteri picks up another MVP award, the 70 power. Now first baseman. They finally listened to me, and they finally put him at first base, it looks like, because they had another season where he had a double-digit ZR at second base. And they were like, okay, maybe we should probably put this guy at first, although it looks like they did that a bit other seasons as well. Just full time at first, please. Stop putting him at second base. It's very funny that he's putting up seasons like this while he's still trying to be trotted out at second base, but they've got him signed to an absolutely insane contract. Probably because they waited till the very end of his arbitration to lock him in. But Jaquat Spiteri, the Marlins paying a guy in the 50 millions, that's insane. But he's been an absolute monster for them. Picks up another MVP award. And then on the American League side of things, the MVP was of the San Francisco Giants, Luis Tirado, who was their 26-year-old first baseman. He's just been very steady, and then this year put up a 154 WAR, or 154 WRC plus, not WAR. That'd be insane. 5 WAR, led the league in ribbies and runs, average, slugging, OPS. The National League Cy Young winner goes to John Taylor of the Miami Marlins. They get the MVP and the Cy Young because this Marlins team is an absolute wagon. They're also paying this guy a shit ton of money as well through his age 32 season. But he's been incredible. You can see here he's been with Miami this whole time. Their team is very expensive now because all their draft picks hit and they're all in the big leagues, and it looks like they kept a decent amount of them. So the Marlins, of all teams, are just constantly running a negative budget, a negative player development because all their guys hit, and now they're just really cashing in on that. But, we get 10 years into this thing, we get 5 years into this thing, they're probably not going to be in a good spot because their player development has been getting huge negatives as we continue to get in this weird era where the Marlins are paying guys contracts like this. And then in the American League, the Cy Young is a new face, Terrell Zephyrin of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jesus Christ. Second round pick at a Kutztown University. Kutztown, something like that. I've definitely seen this before. Don't know how to pronounce it, though. But insane control stuff, movement, 4-pitch mix, an 80-grade splitter. I mean, that's got to be like the nastiest pitch of all time. A 7.5 WAR, essentially. 8.3 R WAR, 182 ERA plus, 59 FIP minus. What can you say? He was absolutely insane. 25 years old, right-handed pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Were the Dodgers even good this year? They won 86 games. So even with this guy, they only won 86 games. Yeah. They've been in the down in the dumps for a while now, but it looks like maybe they're starting to come out of it here. Apparently, Paco Worthing got reliever of the year votes. He wasn't close to winning it, but he does get some votes. I didn't think he had that good of a season, but I guess he did. We'll take it. Paco Worthing gets reliever of the year votes. So we're here at free agency, and it does not exactly fill me with hope that the free agency class is not going to be a bunch of guys who are wrecked, because I'm already seeing 2 wrecked guys, or 3 wrecked guys that I know for a fact are wrecked. Elly De La Cruz, third name listed. Is Dollander wrecked at this point? No, but he's 37 years old. Chris Sweet is a free agent. I know this guy is wrecked, coming off a torn rotator cuff or something. Torn UCL. He's also wrecked. Good pitcher, but he's wrecked. Bobby Coleman, the two-way guy, coming off a partially torn UCL, and he's wrecked. And if you take a look at his numbers here, he has really fallen off. His batting stats, Major League. He won that MVP like the first year, I think it was. Yes, his first year in the bigs, 2033, wins the MVP, was good at the plate again, then he's starting to fall off. Last year was completely fall off the map the last 2 years with health-wise. And then pitching-wise, you take a look at his numbers, really good, and then the last 2 years, Injuries hit him, and now he's wrecked. And, he's insane, but he's wrecked. So we're obviously not going to be offering this guy a deal because he's wrecked, just like everybody else is. So as far as the bats that are here, we don't need a catcher. I'm not going to be going after this guy, even though he is good. If we needed a catcher, I'd be interested, but I just don't think we're going to go after this guy. We have Haggy. Troxel has now been... He's pissed off at us. Jeff Connell. I mean, he's okay. I don't think we need to go after him. He's fragile as well. He's 30. I think we're fine with what we have at shortstop, especially since he's only a 60 short. And we have Doors, who I think is better than this defensively. Obviously, we're not going to go after Cruz or De La Cruz or Grady Emerson, who's not a good bat and not really an elite shortstop anymore. This guy is a fragile first baseman who could be a decent bench piece. I mean, he's outspoken, maybe. He could be like a buy low bench piece, perhaps, lefty off the bench. Ortega's wrecked. Greg is wrecked. Rayner's wrecked. Snyder's wrecked. Weatherholt we talked about. He's possibly an option. Wynn is wrecked. Bates, I like Weatherholt more. Blanco, he's interesting. He also doesn't have any demand, which is weird, but definitely like not that good of a bat. It's mostly all the gap power here. So I think I'm still interested in Weatherholt more than him. Bonnemer is like a decent shortstop, but I don't know if I want to sign him. He's like definitely down the line here. Mike Broyhill, who's wrecked. Wrecked Mike Broyhill. Wrecked Mike Broyhill. Still putting up a good season when he plays. More defensively than offensively, but he is wrecked. Junior Caminero, he is wrecked. Jason Dominguez, he is wrecked. Connor Griffin, he's wrecked. We have $57 million, a little over $57.5 million to spend. All right, folks. We have reached opening day 2039. That means the offseason has come to a close, and it is time to do the wrap-up of everything that happened in this offseason. So, starting from the very beginning, our scouting director and our general manager both retired. Also, we voided the team option for Justin Lampkin. We bought him out for $2.6 million. He signed a multi-year deal with the Chicago Cubs this offseason. As you can see, his overall is down to 45. Still has some decent ratings. Probably more so suited to be a stopper at this point, I would feel like. But who knows? He could probably hang in a rotation somewhere. But we just didn't want to pay him. So he's signing a 3 with a 4th year vesting option with the Chicago Cubs. Very late into his career now. We just had better options. So Justin Lampkin, no longer a member of our team. Our scouting director was a big hit, but we did find a insane scout here. A bunch of outstanding, legendary international. Love to see that, so very easy replacement there. We made a couple trades, Frank Anaya and Tim Haddix to the New York Yankees for Juan Quintanilla. We went over this. He is somebody who they were interested in giving up. We traded for him. He's now our DH and leadoff man this season. Hopefully it works out very well for us. Juan Quintanilla, now a member of the Angels. We traded Stephen Piscotty and Austin Anglesi along with a throw-in to the Atlanta Braves in return for Juan Espinoza. He is our right fielder. Hopefully he can add some left-handed pop to our lineup this season. We are very excited for the bats for this season, coming off a 37-30 double year for the Atlanta Braves. And then we re-signed Haggy, Spainhauer, and Brannick through arbitration. We did not offer arbitration to Sosa or Huzzy. Huzzy apparently signed with Cleveland, and we'll see what he does. A 1-year deal, very cheap. That was not what he was looking for when I was looking at him in free agency, but who knows? Maybe he works out in Cleveland, maybe he doesn't. Not like we need a second baseman right now anyways, and also he just never plays well at second base. Then, free agency opens up, and we go out and make a few signings. First one being Zion Hypolite? Zion here, left-hander out of Wisconsin. He has been around in this save for quite a while. I remember him being with Boston. He was on one of those Boston teams that we played in the playoffs. I believe it was in the wild card round one year. He's just been a very, very solid reliever for basically his whole career. Very high stamina reliever who only has 2 pitches. He is going to be a stopper for us this season. We're hoping he can bounce back from He split last year between Raleigh and Texas, and you can see here it was very good with Raleigh, not good with Texas. We're hoping he's more so, all these years where he's putting up real great numbers as opposed to not this Texas stint that he had. But we're confident he's going to be a very good pitcher for us. We signed him to a 2-year deal. Very, very cheap, I guess because of how poor his second half went, but extremely cheap with a second-year team option on there as well. Then we also went out and picked up a backup catcher in Mike Horn. He is now the backup to Steve Hagge. Decent backup catcher, decent bat, decent glove. He's a backup catcher. What else do you want? J.J. Weatherholt. 1-year deal for him, the 36-year-old, coming off this long stint with the Houston Astros where he's won back-to-back World Series. He's a utility guy where he can play a bunch of different positions, but he can't really play them too well anymore. He's mainly here for his bat. Very good bat against right-handed pitching as a left-handed hitter. Not a slouch against lefties, but mostly going to be utilized against right-handed pitching, coming off the bat, playing every few days at first base and DH for us, as we'll get into the lineups a little bit later on. And then our big free agent signing was indeed Kurt Haas. Kurt Haas, the right-handed pitcher. We did not sign him to a super long-term deal. This absolute stud who has spent his career with the Minnesota Twins and then last year with the San Francisco Giants has been a stud, put up a 5-WAR, 4.5 WAR, 4.5 WAR. He's been a monster for quite a while now. Through his mid-20s. He's 28 entering this season, almost 29. We signed him to a definitely a pretty penny, $45 million even for 4 seasons guaranteed, but he's only signed through age 32. So we're not locked into Kurt Haas here through very long into his 30s. Once he starts to decline, he's going to be off into free agency again and get another contract. So we were able to secure him for 4 years. And then before we get into the lineups here, we should mention that we have a couple injuries in the big league, on the big league team, I should say. Wiley Howard only has a couple days left on his injury. He's almost back from his torn rotator cuff, but obviously that will be a long rehab assignment for him. He only has one option here, so we will definitely be utilizing that rehab assignment before he comes back after the big leagues. John Pelnar got hurt in spring training, strained back. He's out for 1 to 2 weeks on that. Chris Aquino starting the season with an injury. 2 weeks with a strained back. I mean, it's not good. It's just not good. As you can see here, he did not improve his strength and conditioning in the offseason with that program. So he's still fragile, and he's just starting the year on the IL. I can't talk. But we did beef up the bullpen, or not the bullpen, the lineups quite a bit to where we have guys who can, really carry the load as a group when we don't have Aquino in the lineup. So hopefully he can be healthy for once we get to the playoffs, but starting the year on the IL, definitely not a great sign. And then also Canalate, he had just a really nagging injury. He had a setback on it as well, I'm pretty sure. I got an email about a setback. Yes. Canalate, he had a setback on his strained ribcage muscle, so I was like, all right, just go on the IL, start the year on the IL, and it's definitely going to take a hit to our center field production, which we will get into here, our lineups. Our center fielder is Mike Novak, who, he was a high-round pick of ours in 2030. He's been in the system this whole time. You can see here, he's just an absolute monster in AAA. He's got, it's very funny, he has very popular local popularity because he's been around here for so long, just hanging around in AAA, being a veteran presence down there, being a solid center fielder, hitting a bunch of home runs, hitting a bunch of doubles in AAA. We don't expect this type of production in the majors, but he's going to get a shot here because he's the best we got as a backup center fielder right now. Obviously, if Canalate keeps getting hurt, we will look to pick up a center fielder probably at the trade deadline, but right now, Novak is our guy. 60 center field rating, but this has been 60 for a while now, and if we look at his career fielding stats in AAA, he is consistently a very good center fielder. A 9 ZR last year, an 8 ZR, a 7 ZR. I mean, he's even getting better as he gets older. So, Mike Novak, we're confident he's going to be able to at least play a decent center field defensively for us. now that Canalate is hurt to start the season. But as far as the rest of the team here, it is Quintanilla DHing, Suzuki in left, Padilla at third, Tiziano at second, Espinoza in right, Haggy catching, Carranza's at first, Doors, whatever his name is at short, and then Novak in center field, with the bench being Mike Horn, the backup catcher, J.J. Weatherholt as the backup first baseman and DH with some secondary roles as well, and then the main backup guy is Ken O'Brien. And then we just have Guadarrama on the roster, but I am going to look into trading Guadarrama because he is out of option years, and he could obviously be pretty valuable with, a 50-grade shortstop with really good range. But the thing is, he doesn't have a role on our team because he's only here for his glove. We could definitely add maybe even a center fielder to our team for Guadarrama. And it's like, I'm not opposed to having Ken O'Brien play the odd game here and there at shortstop. The thing is, we just don't know how Doors is going to be at shortstop. He is a 60. He has 65 range with 70 turn DP. Can he hold his own there? Perhaps. I'm very intrigued by the bat. We're hoping he's able to be a solid shortstop for us, but who knows? It might be a total failure. We might have to keep running Guadarrama. But we have Mr. Brendan Nolte here, who did have a successful dev lab program for his power, outstandingly improved that. So his power is now 50 with a 55 potential. He's got a decent bat to go along with a very good range. 70 range here, a 65 potential at shortstop, can play all over the infield, can give you some outfield versatility as well, as you can see here with 55 range and 60 arm in the outfield. Very intriguing player. So if Doors doesn't work out, I do think that Brendan Nolte could hold his own at shortstop and give us a bit more bat than Guadarrama has, so I would not be opposed to trading Guadarrama if that situation arises. We'll probably be trying to shop him lightly as the season goes on, but not like an immediate thing that I think we're going to have to just do like right now. We're going to give it some time. And as far as the pitching goes, 1 to 5, it's Ernesto Pimentel, Kurt House, Josh Flynn, Mike Hoskins, and Yuri Perez. I'd say that's a pretty lethal 1 through 5. Then in the bullpen, we've got Dan Brannick and Zion Hypolite. Zion, I'm just going to call him Zion. I'm going to butcher his last name every time. Zion and Brannick are the stoppers. Brannick did get a boost to his stamina in the offseason. It's up to 35 now, so he could be a starter if we need that, but we're going to utilize that as a stopper role. I don't mind having a lefty-lefty stopper because both these guys are guys who can get lefties and righties out. It's not like they're they are a bit better against one or the other, but it's not like they're slouches against righties as a left-handed pitcher, so I don't have any quarrels about doing that. We also have Hedeman in a middle relief stopper secondary role as a right-handed option because his ratings are just looking pretty solid to the point where you would expect him to at least be a decent stopper. Paco Worthing is up. Dusty Spainhauer is here as well. Juan Campos, Ron Tipton, and then Chris Croxton are here as the rest of the bullpen. Lots of lefties, as we have a lot of lefties, but like I said, all these lefties are guys who can get out righties as well. We have no quarrels about them facing right-handed pitching. So that's what the staff looks like with the lineups. As far as the preseason predictions go, the Pittsburgh Pirates are projected to win the Metro Division with the Orioles, Red Sox, Yankees, and Mets, all with low 90s wins behind them. They expect this division to really beat up on each other, apparently. The AL Pacific Division, we have the Dodgers projected to win 96 games, then the D-backs win 93, then the Giants win 90, then the A's, then the Mariners, and then us. So they think we're going to finish way down here with 87 wins. Tough division. And as always, zero respect to our hitters, zero respect to our pitchers. Respect us. And then on the National League side of things, you have the Cleveland Guardians projected to win 96, the White Sox projected to win 90, Blue Jays, Tigers, Cubs, Brewers, Twins, all projected to win in the 80s. And then in the Southern Division, you have the Astros, the Royals, and the Marlins all projected to win low 90s, and then the Rangers, Braves, and even the Oaks projected to win 82 games. Wow. They've got Rec Nelson Rana leading off for them. Man. And they signed him to, it's a cheap 2-year deal, but they signed him to a 2-year deal. Santiago Ramos, another former member of our team, now on the Raleigh Oaks. But yeah, not a lot of great position rankings here, but somehow they are projected to win. And I know this isn't actually projections. This is literally just they did one sim, and this was what outcome it was. It wasn't like this is the average of 100 sims through the predictions. It's literally just one outcome. So it's not actually projections. I just call it that because that's just, I don't know, what's in my mind. But that will wrap things up here as we get ready to embark on the 2039 campaign.